कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। जागत राम ही सोवत राम ही, जागत राम ही सोवत राम ही। सपने में देखो राजा राम ही, सपने में देखो राजा राम ही। राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही। गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। अंतर राम ही बाहिर राम ही, अंतर राम ही बाहिर राम ही। जहाँ देखो तहाँ राम ही राम ही, जहाँ देखो तहाँ राम ही राम ही। राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही। एका जनार्दने भावविनीका, एका जनार्दने भावविनीका। जो देखो सो राम सरीका, जो देखो सो राम सरीका। राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही, राम ही राम ही। गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। राम बिना कछु जानत नाही।
Namaste, my dear brothers and sisters. The love and blessings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo to all of you from Sri Aurobindo Ashram Delhi branch. This beautiful devotional song, Guru Kripanjan Ayo Mere Bhai, Ram Bina Kachu Janat Nahi, in the melodious voice of Prem Shila, is about the constant remembrance and therefore the constant awareness of the divine. And this is something that is the attitude of the devotee, just remembering, chanting the name, while of course doing all the other work. The awareness of the divine stays in the background all the time. In the Gita, there is a verse that tells, in which Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that if someone remembers me, that is, chants my name or thinks of me, at the time of death, then that person comes straight to me. Looks very simple. Do whatever else you like throughout life and just remember the name of the divine at the time of death. But in fact, that is something which I call a yogic trap. Because in the very next or two verses later, the Gita says, remember me all the time. First it says, Antakaleshu, at the time of your journey in this life coming to an end. And then one or two verses later, Sarvakaleshu, all the time. Because the fact is that one would think of remembering the divine at the time of death only when only if one is remembering him all the time, including during our daily activities, and in the case of Arjun, including when he is engaged in something as difficult and dangerous as a war. So if he can think of the divine at that time, then he's thinking of the divine all the time. And then, of course, he'll remember the divine also at the time of death. Now, with this, now we turn to the today's session, which is by Suman Maheshwari, whom you are now familiar with. She has already done 2 classes, and today is her last session, in which she is going to talk about the do's and don'ts of a yoga teacher. And there can be very few who can do it better than her, because she has been herself teaching yoga for several years now in India and in Bangladesh. So over to Suman.
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible?
Okay. Yes, you are.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm sitting on a chair, but keep sitting wherever you're already sitting. If you're on a mat, don't change right now. So let's prepare for the prayer. Wherever you're sitting, just make your spine tall. Roll your shoulder blades back. Keep your eyes open. As you inhale, lift your spine. As you exhale, drop your shoulders or relax your shoulders more and more. Keep looking straight. Your gaze is at your eye level. Again, as you inhale, lift the front of the spine. As you exhale, open the chest more. As you inhale, bring your palms in front of your chest. With the base of the thumb, lift your sternum bone more. 4 fingers are pointing diagonally towards the sky. So they look like that. With this part, with the back of the thumb, you're lifting the sternum. You again are supporting your sternum so that your chest opens more. 4 fingers are pointing directly towards the sky. With that, Anjali Mudra. Stay in the prayer mode. Stay in the prayer position. Keep looking straight. As you exhale, lower the upper eyelid as you're drawing the curtain to join the lower eyelid to close your eyes. We'll chant Om together. And after Om, I'll be chanting a mantra. If you know the mantra, join with me. Otherwise, listen to it. We chant Om with the exhalation breath. So now all of us together inhale for Om. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakinam yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankha chakra siddharanam Sahasra Shirsham Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Harihi Om. Keeping your spine lifted as you exhale, bow your head down. Release your palms on your knees. Open your eyes and raise your head up. So as you know, today's topic is do's and don'ts for a yoga teacher. It will be more of a lecture demonstration. I'll be talking more. I'll be giving demonstration wherever needed. An hour of a talk or a lecture gets a little boring, gets a little sleepy for the recipient. So I encourage all of you to feel free if you want to go and get yourself a cup of tea or coffee, you can do that. If you want to keep on stretching, you can do that. So feel free, whatever you want to stay alert. I'll try to keep the talk interesting. Okay. So I'll start with the do's first. The very first do, which is pretty obvious also, is be on time and always have some time with you towards the end of the class. So I'll talk about be on time in some other point, which will come later on also. Right now, I'll focus more on have some time with you towards the end of the class. Now, a yoga session for most of the students is something different from physiotherapy appointment, from a doctor's appointment, from any other session he or she is going to. In yoga session, a lot of time students undergo, apart from the physical workout they're getting in the body, they also go a mental shift. They also go a emotional shift. If you're leading the students into a deep hip opening stretches, and we know now we have the emotional blockages in the pelvic region. So if the student has done an intense class of deep hip opening sequences, they might be feeling something. They might be wanting to share something. And most probably they want to share it with you because you are one person who has made that shift in them possible. So don't be like, hey, this is end of class and I have to go. Always have some time with you towards the end of the class. The second do is present appearance. Again, this is one of the obvious things, but still some obvious things needs to be restated again to almost all of us. So take a shower wherever possible. Now, of course, with the Zoom, people are teaching all over the world to students all over the world. So if you are in a minus 20-degree temperature, fine, don't take a shower. But if wherever possible, take a shower. And actually, you'll be surprised when you take a shower, your own practice gets better. Your body gets flexible. Of course, as a teacher, you're not practicing so much, but you are more flexible after you've taken a shower. So take a shower, fresh set of clothes, especially if you're doing back-to-back classes, keep a change. They don't have to be ironed, but fresh set of clothes. And last but not the least, keep your hair tied in a bun. Believe me, it's very nice to have your, hair flowing. It gives you a very yogic vibe. You will see that many times my students in the class, they are not happy when I ask them to tie their hair. But for very obvious reason, you have to tie your hair so that you can see your body. And also, it's not a hindrance. Those of us who have been parents, we have always, so many times we have reminded this to our children, बाल आंखों पे आ रहे हैं, दिखेगा क्या? आंखें खराब हो जाएंगी. We have all done that to our children or to somewhere, So for that reason, always when you're doing a yoga class, keep your hair tied, ask your students to keep their hair in a bun. So this is, you have reached the class, you are physically looking fresh and all that. Now bring your energy to the class. So this is when I said, when you're coming before time, what are you doing? That before time, what are you doing with yourself? You're working on your energy. You may have planned a very interesting sequence of challenging postures, but if your energy is not matching with those sequences, they feel it. Everyone feels the energy. One of my favorite movie is Scent of a Woman. Anyone has seen that? Want to share? Scent of a Woman, the main cast is Al Pacino. Okay. So maybe you can share with me towards the end of the class. Al Pacino, as we know, is one of the very legendary actors. In this movie, he is a retired army person and he's blind and he's a very difficult person to be with. And we have one more protagonist in the movie. That other person is a young college student who cannot make both the ends meet, so he needs extra money. So that young college student um, is doing a weekend job of being a caregiver to Al Pacino for the weekend. So he's there with Al Pacino, who is a retired army person who is blind right now, who is very difficult to be with. And of course, later on in the movie, you will see that how they both develop, they both go on to have a very meaningful relationship where they both learn from each other. In one particular scene, my favorite scene, in one particular scene, Al Pacino is sitting in the back of the car. The young person, the young college student joins him in the back of the car. Al Pacino is blind, he can't see. When his young colleague sits in the car, he said, why so heavy? Everyone can feel your energy from an infant to a 90-year-old. So when you are coming to your class, bring your good energy, bring your light energy, bring your happy energy. So you may have a routine to do that. Have a routine to do that. Have your sequence. See what centers you. You might be walking through a green patch to your yoga studio. Once you reach a yoga studio before time, you might do some sequences which makes you active, not very restorative. You want to be active for the class. So bring your energy to the class. Excuse me. The next do is, now we are physically and mentally present in the class. Now we're starting the class. Beginning of the class, somehow all over the world, it is with the chanting. It's with the prayer that we know. It's everywhere in the world. So here I would like to share from my personal experience, as I just shared with all of you. I've been teaching in India and in Bangladesh since 2005. And teaching in Bangladesh has been actually my lot of spiritual growth as a teacher also. But here in many classes, I have given the liberty, I've given the freedom to students. I have led my classes with, okay, now we are starting with the Om chanting. But if someone of you don't feel comfortable, you can be quiet, you can have the silence, or you can do some other chanting in your mind. So I've given that freedom to students. Later on, they shift and they very happily start chanting Om. That's a journey they have to do. And in some of my classes, I've actually skipped the Om chanting at all. I've just led the classes with silence and breathing. So you have to read the cultural, religious background of the place of the students, and initially be sensitive to that. And the next do will be, do your homework well, especially if you're a new teacher, actually all the time. So do your homework well, have your sequence ready. If it's normally a 60-minute class, you will still feel, oh, do I remember my sequence? What if I forget? It's okay. You can bring notes to the class. You can look at them once in a while. It's fine. But do the memorization part. Now with the Zoom, we all have Zoom on our devices. We all have video recording facilities. So keep your homework, like do the homework well, have the sequence ready, do the mock 2-3 times, especially if you're a new teacher, and see that you're able to remember it, or otherwise you have your notes also. To once in a while you can glance in at your notes, as if you see I'm doing it right now. Okay. And even then, if you forget, it's all right. It's not the end of the world. You're a human being. Now the next thing is, excuse me, just I'll take a moment. The next thing is, we have actually started teaching. We have started the physical practice. Now here, there are actually 2-3 forms, depending on the teacher, depending on the school. Sometimes teacher practice with the students. So when they are leading the students into asana practice, they themselves also are practicing. I personally am not in favor of that. For one reason is, how will you check your students? How will you make sure that they are not doing something to endanger themselves? They are not overeating. So you have to really see your students. You have to check them whether they're following you correctly, whether what you're saying, are they understanding that? So if you're doing the asana with them, you cannot see that. Yeah, once in a while you can do the practice with your students. If the students are very advanced, if the sequence is very set, you can do that. But mostly I am not in favor of doing your own practice with the students. Of course, if the class is a beginner class, if your students are beginner, sometimes you first demonstrate, because initially they may not understand your words. So for the beginner class, you may and then lead them with your words, with the cues. The way actually I've been doing with you also, demonstrate. When you're demonstrating, ask your students again to be first place them into an active pose. So if you're demonstrating a posture, and you just don't tell them anything, they'll be sitting like this, they'll be sitting like this, their energy will start draining. They will also start talking to each other. Okay. So if you are doing the demonstration, ask them to sit into very basic postures. It can be something like Upish Konasana. It can be something like Bad Konasana. The spine is tall, so they're actively listening, watching you. Okay. So one is demonstration mode, demonstration and then speaking. Some teachers still do with the students. If the pose is simple, sometimes you can say, oh, I'm doing it with you, we can all do it together. When you're doing that, what the teacher is doing the mirror image. Okay, so I'll just do a little demonstration right now. I'm leading the students into triangle posture, Trikonasana on the right hand side. Okay, I'm doing Trikonasana. I'm leading the students. I'll say to my class, we'll all do it together. So just watch it. You're not doing it with me. Just watch how leading your class while you're doing becomes difficult, how mirror image becomes difficult. So it's a Trikonasana. We're doing it together. Spread your feet wide, palms on the waist. Turn the right foot out. Now I'm turning my left foot out. Okay. Yeah, so now it's easy. I'm telling the students, turn the right foot out. I'm turning the left foot out. Sometimes students, everyone's mind works differently. Sometimes they will not hear my words. They'll see my left leg and they'll also turn the left leg. So that's the confusion, but still that can be taken care of. Inhale, take the right hand down. I'm taking the left hand down. If this was slightly more complicated posture like Parivrit Trikonasana, I'll take my left hand down. I'll ask the students, take your left hand down. What I'm doing is I'm taking my right hand down. So you can see the challenge of a teacher. If it's a slightly complicated posture, the mirror image gets very complicated. Let's suppose it was something like suppose it was like a side angle posture. Give me a moment. It was Parskonasana. Okay. If it is a Parskonasana, inhale, exhale, bend the right knee. I'm bending the left knee. Exhale, take the right hand down. I'm taking the left hand down. Take the left hand over. I'm taking the right hand over. And again, see if I make it parivrata, revolving. Then it gets all the more challenging as I keep on shifting in my mind, right with the left, left with the right. Okay. So mirror image is not very convenient. It's mentally jumbling for the teacher. So I would say give the demonstration first if it's a beginner class, and then lead them with the words. Okay. Yeah. So now talking about leading them, you have shown the demonstration to students. Now talking about what words you use when you're teaching, when you're actually leading them into the posture. This is actually where you are, the actual work happens, the words. So I will say, use direct command form. So a lot of time yoga teachers will say, now all of us, now we all will be doing the Trikonasana. Now, if you're not doing that, someone will look at you and will think in the mind, dude, you said we all are doing, you're not doing. Or I say, now all of you will be doing the Trikonasana. Now all of you take your right foot forward. Or I can simply drop all of us, all of you. I can simply say, direct command form, stand with your feet apart, spread your leg wide, take the right foot out. It's direct, there are no extra words. It's in a commanding form. You should have a decent command in your voice. So even if you are a new teacher, even if you are inside, if you think you are not great at the public speaking, but you should practice that command in your voice. They have to know that you feel comfortable, you are confident of what you are leading them into. So direct words in a command, not authoritative, in a command form. So direct command form, drop all the extra words. Okay, so it will be clear for them to understand also. Okay, I'm doing, he's doing, she's doing, no, just words and the instructions and the body movements. So direct command form. The next do, again, is with the instructions only. Actual part of giving the instruction is something to do with NLP. As many of you will be familiar with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm not going into the technical definition of that, but I think the way we all think is how our brain perceives the language. And we speak just as a layman. We all know that, we all have joked about it, that if you want someone to do something for you, ask them not to do it. You know, don't do this and they'll do this. Okay. We know that if you tell children, if you want them to do something, tell them don't do this. So we know that if we say don't, people do it. Don't open that closet, people open the closet. So, you know, brain has something, whatever it is, you can look more in detail, you can research the NLP, but brain has something it does not want to hear, does not hear, do not, or people may have authority issue. If you say many times, do not, do not, do not, no one likes it. It somehow does not feel nice to be hearing do not, do not, do not. Okay. So especially in the yoga class, now I'll do a little demonstration. Use all the positive cues to adjust the posture than the negative cues. Okay. Now I'll again do a simple posture, Trikonasana. You are leading your students. Okay, sorry, because I put the chair here today. 1 second. Yeah. Some part of my feet may not be visible, but you'll get the point which I'm trying to say for the cues. Stand with your Tadasana, spread your feet wide. We all are, see again, I said we all are doing. So Trikonasana on the right hand side, keep your palms on your abdomen, turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in, body in the center, extend your arms, go down. I'm not paying too much attention to actual posture, actually leading you into the posture. I'm focusing on what is not to be said. Now in the Trikonasana, I'm saying, do not drop the upper chest forward. Do not lean too much forward. Okay. Do not drop your head. Do not give all the body weight to the right hand side. So see, even in a simple Trikonasana, I've already said do not 3 times. In a more complicated postures, I could be saying do not 10 times. So do not drop the shoulder forward. Do not drop the head. Do not give the body weight to the right hand side. Now, what I could be using, the positive cues will be to check the upper shoulder, push the upper shoulder back, push the upper shoulder back, push the left shoulder back. So I'm telling what is to be done. Head is falling down, lift right ear away from the floor. Lift right ear away from the floor. I'm giving too much body weight to the right hand side. Okay. So the cue could be, there can be many cues actually. The cue could be the left finger. See the fingers on the upper hand fingers? Imagine your left fingers are reaching for the sky. Can you see that? Left fingers are reaching for the sky. Left fingers reaching for the sky, and see my body weight is not now falling on the right hand side. Exhale, come out of the posture. So instead of so many, do not do this, do not do this, do not do this, we can help the students by actually telling what is to be done in a positive manner to correct the posture. It just feels good. Okay. So now, so I've tried to make it this actually as the class progresses. So now you're leading them into the posture. They're doing the posture. You see that someone is not getting right. So you want to correct the person. You want to correct the person. Now, either you can be taking the name of the person, Sunita, turn the right foot inward. Joseph, turn the left foot outward. We don't want to be correcting a person many times in the same class. No one likes it. Okay. So Sunita's right foot is not in the right position. But if you just say, turn the right foot in, turn the right foot in, turn the right foot in, people start thinking, oh, is my right foot in? So even without taking their names, by just giving general correction to the whole class, you can be helping everyone. That's one. That's one. Second is physical correction. Now, physical correction, touching the body of a student. That's one I really want to emphasize. Be very cautious about it. Be very sensitive about it. In some, it's very area specific, it's country specific, it's cultural specific. Even then you cannot presume with a student. Even in a very liberated country, someone may not be comfortable. Someone may have a trauma of a physical touch. So take your time, take a lot of time, unless you're unless the class is very you're in a safe space. You feel that safe space. And even then, when you want to slightly lift someone's hands, when you want to slightly turn someone's neck, always go close and ask, may I? And you will see. You'll see if the person slightly, you'll see in the whole thing. So be very cautious about the physical correction. Then next thing is, do one detailing at one time. Even with, somehow in such a safe space, in such a gentle space, people know they're coming to yoga, they know it's not competitive. That's what they expect. No, it's not a boot camp, it's not a CrossFit. But even then, people do get competitive, people do get egoistic, people get caught up. People do get caught up. So they don't listen to you. And you must be wondering as a teacher, what am I doing wrong? Am I not speaking clear enough? No, it's not about you. Most of the time it's about them. They are caught up. Okay. So go slow, do one detailing at a time. Okay. And you are also speaking for 90 minutes, for let's say 60 minutes, 75 minutes. It will help you also to do detailing slowly. So your breath will be calm. Take your breath, speak slowly, give one instruction at one point of time. So for warrior 2, keep your feet together, spread your legs out, extend your arms, inhale, exhale, bend the right knee, turn the body to the left side. People will be just doing right, left, right, left. You'll say right, they'll do left. So one detailing at one time. Take your breath after you've said one detailing to them. It will help them, it will be clear to them, and it will also keep you centered, it will keep you not tired also. One detailing. So one detailing at one time. The next is stacking of your instructions. So stacking of instructions, again, I'll do a small demonstration. The stacking of instructions can be of two forms. One is, that should be visible. So one is when you are giving instructions for a particular posture. let's say we are doing a standing posture. In standing postures, for kind of very rooting mm, uh, for the very rooting purposes, start the instructions from the feet. So I'll just show you. We are doing a Gomukhasana, cow posture. So I say randomly, yeah, now you can see my feet. Yeah. So I say randomly, take your right arm up, bend the elbow, take your left arm back, try to reach your palms. Okay. And then I say, oh, by the way, now see my feet are like this. Because I've not asked the students to what to do with their feet. I started from the top in the standing posture. Someone might be like this, someone might be like this. So they are like, and then I say, oh, by the way, keep your feet hip distance apart. The grounding did not happen. Standing was my grounding. Standing was my foundation. So in the standing posture, start with your feet hip distance apart, knees, hips in one line. So start and then build spine tall, shoulders back, arm up, head in straight line. So in standing posture, start from the ground, from the feet all the way up. So that's one stacking. Second stacking is, okay, for that also, let me give you instructions. Second stacking is, second stacking is for the posture again, Paskonasana. So let's say I'm leading the students. Inhale, exhale, bend the right knee, take the right hand down, take the left arm up. And now if you're not comfortable here, you can come down to this posture. If you're not comfortable here, you can be here. This is one way. Or I could have said, Paskonasana, spread your feet apart, right foot out, left foot in. Exhale, support your knee. On the next exhalation, if you can, if you have the range, go down, take the right hand in the back or in the front. If you need a support here, you can keep something beneath your hand. If you feel comfortable here, if you want to challenge yourself more, take your upper hand over your ear and extend it. To come out, bring your left hand back, right hand up and come back. So what I did, I started from the safest level of the posture and then build it up. And I gave the option to students, you can stay here or you can build it up. When I say go, when I lead them into most intense and then I tell them, if you can't do this, come back, come down. No one wants to come down. People, even if they're hurting, they want to stay there only. Believe me, I have seen it in very, very advanced, retreats also. It was actually very funny. We were doing a retreat for a week and a very advanced retreat. And we were just you know how we all undergo that process. Oh my God, he is so good. She is so good. She can do so much. In the end, the last day we had a therapeutic class, somatic class, where we were asked to, share if I have any issues with us. And we were surprised, the person I could see holding Warrior 2 for 5 minutes, he had a knee issue. So you have to, don't start with the most difficult. Everyone wants to be there. No one wants to be in a lower version of the posture. Okay. So that is stacking of your instructions. The next, so till now, what I was focusing was more about yoga. The next few points are actually which are valid for everyone, which are valid for a teacher, for a professional, for us, for anyone, for actually everyone. So actually those next few points remind me of a book by Sir. Sir has gifted to me. He's very kind. He gives all of his books to all of us. So it was a book for children. If I remember, it was like young, a granddaughter is talking to his granddad about what she wants to become when she grows up. And so the story goes on like this, that whatever she's choosing to become, let's say, a doctor, an engineer, or a teacher, when you break it down, it all ultimately uh, comes down to becoming a good human being. So that's a lovely book by Sir. You can just search it. It must be in Shabda. So next few points are the similar points for a yoga teacher. Be polite. It goes a long way. It just goes a very, very long way. Be kind to your students. Now, the world is talking a lot about be kind to everyone, to yourself. So be kind to your students. You will be surprised, actually. It will be your own spiritual journey. So I'll share one of my personal experience. There was this one student with me for years and years and years, and I used to wonder why she comes to my classes. She will barely greet me. She will not, she just wanted, she made it very clear that she did not want to be in my class. My other students told me, oh, she brings that such a negativity to the class. But she was a good student. She did her practice well. I somehow never had um, the confidence to have this conversation with her. Like, what is the matter? Can we, like, I could never reach to her. I could never connect to her on a heart, like, like where she could tell me, like, but whatever. It used to bother me also as a teacher. She used to come almost angry. But it was my journey, actually. It was really my journey. She came to my classes for years and years and years. And it was my journey always. As a teacher, let this energy not impact me. Let me be let me be the bigger person. Let me be a kinder person. So actually, being kind goes a long, long way for your own growth. Okay. Keep it light. Keep it light for very simple reasons. You have read enough this already, but I'm still saying keep it light. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have a little bit of a fun here and there. So keep it light. And then teach for the midline of your students. There'll be some, if you have a mixed class, if you're lucky to have a batches, then it's different. Generally, getting batches take a long time in your journey as a yoga teacher. Most of the time, if you're a new teacher, you'll get a mixed class. There'll be some beginner, there'll be some advanced. You have to engage everyone. So teach for the midline so that everyone is comfortable, and also add some intensity once in a while. People like to be challenged. So do that. So teach for the whole of the class, but start from a midline. Okay. And one of the last two I like to share is be open to the feedback. So again, that will only happen if you're light. If you're very strict, if you're very serious, obviously they will not give you feedback. If you're friendly, they'll give you feedback, which obviously most of the time we say we want feedback, but it always pinches somewhere. It's okay, step back, take the feedback. If you don't want to change a thing, it's fine. You can explain to them why you're doing what you're doing. But sometimes the feedback, actually a lot of times the feedback will actually make your classes better. You will be surprised when you do your recording just to see how you're teaching. All of us say, oh my God, this was so bad. Oh my God, this was so bad. What was I saying? What was happening to my hands? What words I was speaking? We all do that. So if your students have that kind of safe space to give your feedback, you will just, make yourself better in your speech, in your delivery, in your hand movement, in your body movement. So be open to the feedback. And last, now this is the last do. Again, very important, very funny. Finish on time. So don't think if you're finishing 15 minutes later on, you are actually doing them a favor. Because we know nowadays in the world, if there's a tuition class, we always make a joke. Teachers are always looking at the clock. But in a yoga class also, always finish on time. People have their routine, they have something, and they don't want to just, rush out of Shavasana and just rush. So always finish on time. So they know this teacher is always finishing time. They can plan accordingly. Once in a while, it's okay. Once in a while, your classes will you will get in a flow. But they'll also announce to students that I've taken 7 minutes more. If you want to leave in between, please leave. So announce that, because they are not looking in the watch. You're looking in the watch. So that was all about the do's. Um, Generally, we know now. We'll talk about the don'ts. And generally, we know the do's and don'ts of anything can be like a two sides of a coin, right? That's the way generally it happens. Like, okay, be punctual. That's a do. Don't be late. That's a don't. So generally, everything can be turned around. But here, so that to not make it very repetitive, I've still tried to cover do's like which you should really, really do, and don'ts which we should really do not do. Okay. So talking about the don'ts, the first one is for a new teacher. If you're a new teacher, don't get too creative. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The postures have been there for actually centuries. So till you get your confidence, just stay with the basics, stay with the tested postures. You don't have to create your own variation to the posture. The second one is, this is coming from the topic we touched just now. Do not take yourself too seriously. Now again, enough has said about this particular thing. Do not take yourself too seriously. Do not think too much. Do not get into your brain. Do not think, what if, what if, what if. My biggest fear, I'm telling you from my experiences, my biggest fear is, what if I mess up with the mantra? And I have done that. So it's okay. We all are human beings. We'll get messed up. But don't get caught up into your what if, what if, what if. There'll be some mistakes. Move on. So connected with this only, do not apologize too much. A genuine sorry is fine if you're messed up, but move on. Remember the yoga philosophy? We are always talking about letting go. So as a teacher, let go of your own mistakes. Yeah, make effort so that you don't repeat them, but don't be over caught up in them. Don't say sorry many, many times. The next one is actually very interesting. The next one is, do not use too many filler words. So we all know what are the filler words, and we all speak them. And actually, you all know we make fun of people behind their back. If someone is using too many filler words, we always call them by that word only. Oh, she is, whatever that person is speaking. So you all know that person is speaking too much of that filler word. Some of the very common ones are, see what I'm doing right now? Is the master filler word. Okay. For a yoga teacher, the filler word could be, so you know the filler word, filler, it is filling the gap. You don't know what you're going to do. You have forgotten, you're filling, right? So of course, it will relate to your practice also. Practice well, prepare well, but still you might forgot, so filler word. So now all of us are going to do, okay? They know you don't have any idea what you're going to do, okay? So actually in the time, you could be simply breathing. You could simply lead them into a breathing in and breathing out, okay? Or now we have done the triangle. What shall we do next? You can see how that will go. So you've forgotten, it's okay. You forgot your sequence, fine. You can do something else, it's fine. But not too many filler words, not the ums and the nows and let's do this. Shall we do this? Shall we do this? No, a big no. A very, very big no. You can see for obvious reasons, right? So also, do not use many repetitive, similar sounding, synonymous words. See what I did just now? I did the same thing which I'm asking you not to do. Do not use too many repetitive, similar sounding synonymous words. So just keep your instructions specific, clear, and not repetitive. The next one is, different words mean different things to different people. I'll repeat this again. Different words mean different things to different people. People hear differently. So for the same posture, you should use more than one cue. So let me explain it with the demonstration. Let's say Uttanasana, standing forward bend. I've given the instruction. Oh, sorry, I've given the demonstration before the instruction. I've shown the I've shown to the students how we do the Uttanasana. You'll be surprised even after you have given the um, even after you have shown them. Okay, so sorry, my head is not looking, but I'll show you from here. So Uttanasana, you have shown this to them. This is standing forward when I'm doing half only. You have shown this to them. Okay. You'll be surprised even after you have shown to the students what is to be done, when you actually start leading them, they still sometimes forget. Okay. Now the one cue could be for Uttanasana. I may say, bend at 90 degrees. Now bend at 90 degrees, someone may bend at 90 degrees and someone may not bend at 90 degrees. Someone may not understand what is bending at 90 degrees. From where do I bend at 90 degrees? Because see, if you have said Uttanasana, someone might not even know the meaning of Uttanasana, Sanskrit name, right? So they do not know it's a bending forward. Uttanasana, bend at 90 degrees. I don't understand, what are you saying? Teacher, can you help me? Okay. So again, bend at 90 degrees, your first cue. You may use more cues. Keep your palms at your waist, keeping the spine tall. As you exhale, start bringing your trunk towards the floor and stop when you are parallel to the floor. So you got the same result. Someone understood by bend at 90 degrees and someone understood by exhale, bring your chest parallel to the floor and stop when you're parallel to the floor. So use more than one cue to get the same result because people perceive differently. So that's about the, yeah. And the next one in the similar stream is interchange the words. Sometimes you use one word too much. So that gets a bit boring. And again, that will become your laughing name behind your back. So if you always say, put your right foot forward all the time, put your right foot forward, put your right foot forward, put your right foot forward, put your left foot forward. It's always put. So you can see how it sounds. It will get boring and you will get named as put. So think of different words. Scissor as exercise. Bring your right foot forward. Place your right foot towards the front of the mat. So for the same, have different words also to just break the monotony of the instruction. The last do not I can think of is Shavasana. So the class is done, practice is done. You're helping your students settle down in Shavasana. Shavasana, actually, if you're doing a 60-minute class, I would say keep 10 minutes for this. And actually, let me slightly go back before that. As a teacher, so that we finish on time, always have a watch on you or in front of you. Have a big queue in front of you. When will you start? When will you finish this much? When will you finish half of the class? So have your, okay, 20 minutes, I would have done this, 40 minutes, I would have done this. But most important, keep 10 minutes for Shavasana. Don't rush them into Shavasana. That's the most important part of the practice. You also have to become relaxed while you're putting them to Shavasana. They have to settle down physically and then mentally. So keep at least 7 to 10 minutes for Shavasana. Now in Shavasana, when you're leading them, a lot of time teachers speak about a lot of physical cues to relax the body. They speak a lot of visual clues. So students' eyes are closed, but we speak a lot of visual clues also to relax the students. One thing, so a lot of time we say about nature. We make the students visualize the nature, the trees, the mountains, and generally the things which relaxes us. A lot of time we ask the students to visit their childhood, be like a child. Now, I would generally be shy of this. someone's childhood may have been very traumatic. So you don't want them to visit their childhood. In that place, in this place, you can say, okay, so now visit your most happy memory. Give that choice to the student. He or she can choose wherever they were most happy. Or same way. Um, think about feel as if you are in the embrace of your mother. Someone might have huge trauma there. So don't be very specific in these suggestions. Leave it to them. Give very general. Relational is always a problem, can be a problem a lot of times. So nature is safe. Generally, nature is very safe. Okay. But again, someone may have a trauma with the water, with the sea. So suggest them to think on their own. Give very general cues, but let them, because you at the end of a beautiful class, you have put in so much work. They have put in so much work. You want them to be leaving the class with a very relaxed, emotional state also. So that's about the Shavasana leading. And the same thing when you are, why I said 10 minutes, is when you are bringing them out of Shavasana, is also very gentle, very relaxed, very calm. That's actually where you as a teacher also should be in that Savasana mode actually. Savasana is one, okay, now I will still say don't do it while they're doing it, only if you are very comfortable, only if it's a very long-standing class with you. But in your mind, be very relaxed. Savasana is when they can really get your energy, when they can really benefit for energy, when they can really relax. They might not have done a good physical practice class, but that 10 minutes of relaxation would give the world to them. So Savasana, the last of the posture, not the least, a very important posture. So I think that's all. I've covered all the points, but we still have time. I think I finished early. So let me see quickly if I want to add something else more, because we still have a lot of time for the question answer. I can actually share my own bloopers while we have time. I can share some personal bloopers as a yoga teacher. It happened actually just now in these lectures also. So maybe you can relate with that. You can remember that. So I was already teaching for years and years, and Sir shared somewhere in my introduction. Life gave me this beautiful opportunity to conduct a yoga teacher training in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. I did that. It was a very big growth for me. All thanks to huge gratitude to Mother Shervindo, Mother and Bijlani. So on my own, I would have never thought I can do a yoga teacher training. So, Sir gave me all the confidence and all the support. So I got response. I got good response in Dhaka. I got students. Everything was lined up. So now comes the day when I'm kind of inaugurating that yoga teacher training. That function was happening. That small ceremony was happening when you start, not the actual teaching, but when you start the inauguration. And in that, these students who have signed up to do this yoga teacher training with me, they have been my students from before, so I know a lot of them. And in that particular session, so important in my life, I'm leading the students in this mantra, Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham, and I froze. And you can imagine my, embarrassment, like, oh my God, like I froze in the mantra, which I have spoken 1,000 times by now. But what to do? You do get caught up. You're doing a yoga teacher training. You think it's such a big thing happening. And you freeze up. So that happened with me in 2013, yeah. And believe me, it's taken a lot of time for me to work on that fear. So even till now, I think, oh my God, what if I freeze in that particular mantra? So these things happen. These things happen. So um, we just have to, be kind to ourselves, make more preparation, maybe keep the mantra in front of you. It's fine. It's okay. If you really are caught up, it's okay. You can have your support system, but be kind to yourself. Um, and now, so that's my one of the biggest, so in this, so coming back to these classes, in the first class, this was a mantra, and somehow this is a mantra I always like to chant. This is a Patanjali mantra. So today's my third class with all of you. In the first class, I said I started the class with the Om chanting. I had planned to chant this mantra, but I lost it. I was not confident enough. I said, what if I forget? And somehow the online, I know we're getting very comfortable, but still online feels somehow slightly more than in-person class. Slightly feels, because your video is there. So that day I skipped the mantra. I just before the class, when I was chanting my Om, in my mind I was like, am I confident enough? So I could see, no, I'm still thinking I might forget it. So I skipped it altogether. Instead of chanting the mantra and then stopping halfway is actually very embarrassing. So I stopped, and I'm kind to myself. It's okay. I'm a human being. So that's one of my biggest, blooper or whatever. And actually, yeah, something came to my mind. I think I still will take some time. We have just some time here. Um, so there's one thing called, so namaste, right? At the end of the class, namaste. Now, this thing has been going on forever for last couple of decades, actually, in the Western part of the world. Uh, somehow nowadays, it does not sound very sincere. When you, so most of the time in India, towards the end of the class, yoga teachers do not say namaste. Most of the time, they do not say namaste. Uh, Most of the time, people across the world, Western teachers, they all say namaste. And you would have seen in many English shows and movies, it's kind of shown with a bit of a not even humor, kind of you're making fun of. When they say namaste, the teacher is they kind of he's being made fun of. So I was seeing a documentary, and which is, so now this is being talked about by many yoga teachers in the world, that when you're saying namaste, especially if you're not an Indian teacher, you're doing the cultural appropriation. So you just look around, do more research on this. The cultural appropriation is, this has come from some other culture. You do not know what all means by that word, and you're just taking it as your own, and you're passing it as your own culture. So that is like namaste towards the end of the class. I would say skip it, because it's already reaching into a controversial space in the world. That's one namaste, because it's been really there forever. Now, some other words which are really going around in the world, all over the world, sometimes they can get too goofy. Like always ending your class with love and light. Uh, it's a bit goofy. Yeah, I see someone smiling over there. Okay. Um, universe. Universe is telling me. Actually, it's the same way of, you don't want to name God. It's your smart way of saying, it's your another way of saying whatever. But the universe is telling me, and someone might actually say, really? Are you sure? So like very, very goofy, very, very stylish. Or actually, I'm working through a lot in my life right now, with a lot of, show off kind of a thing. And someone who's talking to you here, they'll be like, yeah, my life is very simple. I don't have anything going on in my life right now. So be wary of those. You can go online. There are like so many. If you see some Hollywood movies, there are like so many of these goofy yogic words which actually are being made fun of. So stay clear of those very goofy vibes. Just stay simple, clear, grounded. just, so that people understand what you're talking. They're not thinking, oh, what do you mean? What are you saying? So if you're not feeling well, just say, I'm not feeling well. Right, those kind of things. So just don't make it very, 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 again, for the better word, I'll say goofy. So that's one thing, yeah. So I'll end it over here right now. I think I've covered it all, whatever I could think of. Let's open to the question answers. Aditi, shall we? Okay.
Sure.
And I hope to get a lot of questions from you today. I hope you didn't go to sleep.
Namaste, Sumanji. Can I go ahead with my question?
Yes. One second. Who's this? Sorry. Yeah, let me just close this. Yeah. Who's this?
It's me, Shushmita.
Okay. Sushmita, you are, I see your devices. Yeah. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, so I was laughing at Love and Light because it reminded me of one of the seminar, and it was called Mindfulness Seminar when I was working in China, and this was done by one of the Westerner. So she had a bowl, singing bowl, and like talking about love and light and universe. And for me, being a Nepali, I just could not concentrate in her mindfulness. It was not mindfulness for me anymore. And yeah, so I so much relate it with you. And they are using lots of this in schooling, international school, when we do social emotional well-being, which I really want to correct. And the other thing is, my question is, so whenever we go to this kind of mindfulness and whatever, we're like with the Westerner, most of them are Westerner in the school, international school context, and they use lots of English translation for the Sanskrit translation. Like even when we do yoga, they would say, instead of saying Birhadra Asana, they would say warrior pose, like Baddha Konasana, go for a butterfly pose, or cat cow or dog down, something, which is like from coming, like having the cultural background, it pinches me a lot.
Yeah.
Where do you draw a line? Because I can understand they are not able to pronounce the Sanskrit word. It is okay to pronounce it maybe simply, but using it so much as a commercial English, like we call warrior pose, nobody will say
Right.
Asana. So are we losing our culture there? Like these are my questions. And where do you draw the line? Because we also have to be sensitive with the culture, with the language. So what's the correct, if I'm going towards that path, what would be the correct balancing line? Where should I stand?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Sushmita. It's a very, very important question, actually. Yeah. So I was actually, I was doing a lot of research for this session today, and I really had such a good, like knowledge, like what's all going on. So you'll be surprised, actually. A lot of international teachers, the good ones, they actually are talking against this cultural appropriation. Okay, even the Westerners. So let's say for the download for the Adho Mukha Svanasana, yeah, they cannot speak Adho Mukha Svanasana. So they're saying downward facing dog, and you are attending that seminar or retreat, as long as the teacher is making an effort to say both the names. So, he is giving the credit to from where the name came from. So they're not passing it as their own. So Adho Mukha Svanasana may not sound like Adho Mukha Svanasana, that's fine. But as long as they're saying, okay, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So both. So you can see their intention. You'll be surprised, actually, the initial power yoga teachers. Google them. There were 3 of them. I'm right now, the name will not come quickly to me, but they're brain, a lady and 2 men, gentlemen. there are three initial earliest schools of power yoga, right? Mostly all of them were registered in US. All of them mostly they came to, if I remember the journey, to Mysore to Ashtanga yoga. And when they went back, they wanted to make it work for the US clients and students. And they renamed it, or they kind of, rephrased it power yoga. But almost all of them gave credit to Ashtanga yoga. All of them gave the credit to their learning at Mysore school and all. So that's what I'm saying. So you can, and you already felt that you were not able to concentrate, you're not able to get it. So you have to see the genuineness of the teacher, of the school, of the teacher. Are they just appropriating everything as their own, or are they passing? And I would say it's not even about, I'm not very fanatic about literally using the Sanskrit names. But yeah, it's been there, so use it. And somehow it feels good. Somehow it feels good also. So I'm not saying, oh, it's the Indian name, you have to, but it's been there. It's part of, like, so why detach it? Why use it? So you have to see that intention of that school or the teacher, whether they're making genuine effort to embrace the whole thing. That's thing. And in your own practice as a teacher, when you have students from all over the world, again, use your Sanskrit name to start with. And you'll be surprised, actually. They actually, all the human beings want to learn different languages. You'll be surprised that how much effort they make to learn the Sanskrit names. But also for their ease in the beginning, always have an English name so that they have the basic idea what they're going into. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
and I have another question again. Another question is about queuing. So how much amount does a yoga teacher need to talk, like speak when you are queuing? Because like if you speak for long, more than like 30-40 seconds, then probably it won't sound good. So what would be the amount that you need to speak and the time?
Yeah. Again, very good question. So remember I talked about stacking the information or actually giving one detailing at a time. So when you are giving the demonstration, then you have done the whole demonstration at one time. And also that time they are not sitting idle, they are in an active pose. Remember the Baddha Konasana or leg spread, sitting active pose. And you have done the demonstration. Demonstration is faster than the queuing, that Demonstration is faster because that is in my command, that is in my control. I'm doing the demonstration. Right foot out, left foot in, extend your arms, bend your right knee, take your right hand down. This is my demonstration to have a basic idea of what the posture looks like. So this will not be too long, so that what you're saying is that does not get too long. While you're leading into them, the length of the queuing is actually one instruction at a time. So it will be only inhale, exhale, bend your right knee. So that's not too much of a time. So they're not getting bored because now they are waiting what next you're telling them. Okay, inhale, exhale, extend your right arm up. So at no point of time you'll be speaking in the queuing the whole of the instructions together. So it will not get too much. And you will also not be speaking too much time together the whole time. You will lead them into one part of the posture. You may again repeat it because when you say bend your right knee, someone might have bent the left knee. When you again say bend your right knee, someone would check in their mind, So that's, so you're not saying all of the cues at one time. So it will never reach 30 to 40 seconds together. It will be with a break of the body part. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You see the chat. This is Abhipsha. I hope I'm reading your name right. My question is, after starting yoga with the prayer, is there a sequence that we need to follow, like stretching, then asanas and pranayama? Or we can, okay. All right, Abhipsha. Abhipsha's question is, after the prayer, is there a sequence? Do we start with the stretching and the asanas and the pranayamas? Yes, there's always a sequence. There's always a sequence, and you always plan your sequence. And um, you're right, it always starts with the basic stretching postures first. So the body gets ready for the more intense postures towards the middle of the class. That's where you bring in the more demanding ones, so that they are ready for that. So, and you said it always rightly. The pranayama comes towards the end of the class. Unless you have planned a full pranayama class, then of course you'll do active stretching for 10 minutes and then you're doing the whole pranayama. Or unless you have or unless you have really planned a class, let's say on the let's say you really build up a class on the building the arm strength. Okay, so in that case your stretching is of that kind only. So you have to see what is the main area you're working on in that class, and your stretching will also be according to that only. So suppose you want to lead them into full arm balance, Adho Mukh Vrikshasana, which is the upside down of a Vrikshasana. That's what this is Sanskrit name is, full arm balance. So that day your stretching sequence, your initial postures will be all focusing on your palm strength, on your lower arm, upper arm strength. So yeah, the sequence is always very, very important. You have to plan about it before you plan the class. What is your main thing is going to be in the class? Yeah. Does that answer your question, Avipsha? Okay. You have a very interesting name. Do you want to tell us the meaning, Avipsha's meaning? Wow, that's such a lovely name. Avipsha's name means a prayer without a wish. Wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you. Is there any other question? While you're thinking about questions, we still have time. I really want to use this time today as this is my last class with you. I really have, this was really a great opportunity. So I want to thank Sir and Aditi, but I'm not winding up the class right now. Mukund, you want to say something? You always say something. No? Okay. So I have sorry, I can't hear you, Mukund. Can you unmute yourself?
I just want to thank you for giving us such wonderful clues, especially regarding the taking the class, because doing class is one thing and taking the class is totally different thing. Thank you so much. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, all of you will do you'll be so good as a yoga teachers. You are at a beautiful place. I have no doubt that all of you will be lovely yoga teachers. Okay.
Yes, madam. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Vidya I just saw a message from Vidya, I guess. Yeah, Shri Vidya, you're so welcome. And I'll ask just so I'll ask Aditi to share my information with you, my email or my WhatsApp. Vidya is asking how to connect with me. I think that should be fine. I'll ask Aditi to do that. Yeah. And as I can see, I want to make up this time today, and I know I still have time. So I'll share my last, learning from our time with Bijlani sir. So that was 2008, first yoga teacher training in Aurobindo Ashram in Delhi. I'm lucky, really, I'm lucky to have done that. And changed my life, actually. Changed my life, and it's still changing my life. So, but not going into too much, and I'll get overwhelmed if I start talking about my experience those days. But right now I'm talking about the class. So I'll focus on the class. So sir used to take our philosophy classes. And as a teacher, actually, it was amazing how much freedom he gave us. It was mind blowing how much freedom he gave us. We would have most um, stimulating, most engaging discussions in his classes. We were reading philosophy, so you can get thinking, you can get into a very deeply reflective mode. You can be questioning so many things in your life. So all of us would get so into we were in such a safe space. We'll discuss on and on and on and on and on. And sir never ever asked us to stop. He never ever asked us enough. He never ever said, मेरा syllabus खत्म नहीं होगा, तुम लोग इतनी बात करते हो. He never said that. And syllabus खत्म होता था, बहुत आराम से होता था. And so as a teacher, as an adult in our life, we are always kind of, we get caught up in our authority, even as a parent, as a boss, as a teacher, as a yoga teacher in your classes, if somebody is taking your time away from your sequence, वो भी होga. You will have your class ready and someone will keep on asking you a lot of questions, actually, in your physical practice class. They will be coming from some space. They will be coming from some need. Someone will have the need to, that we call that attention getting, we have the name for that. They want all the attention. Someone will think they know everything. They will actually question you how you're leading them into yoga posture, because a lot of people, especially in India, they think they know all the yoga postures. So they will do that. As a teacher, you will be challenged. You will be miserable. You will hate that student who is always disrupting your class. But learning from teacher, he had time for everything. He had time for everything, for all of our questions, for all of our discussions. So same way, you also in your yoga teaching have to give that space to the students. Give that space. Yeah, if someone is very disruptive, that's a different thing altogether. But otherwise, remember, it's not about you. They have their baggage. They have something is going on. Even if someone is kind of challenging you as a yoga teacher, they're going through something. So don't jump to take everything personally. Be very generous. You're teaching yoga. Be very grateful, and just be there. Just be there for yourself. Be there for them. And enjoy the process. It's a very wonderful process. It's a very beautiful process. So I think with that, I would like to finish this class today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi, for asking me to unmute. And thank you, Suman. During the last bit, Suman was talking more about me than about the class. Don't believe everything she said. There was a lot of exaggeration in that. But I must also confess that I enjoyed what she was saying about the experience with the experience of her classes with me in 2008. If there are one or two comments that I have to make about today's session, probably the most important would be that sincerity, can take care of many things. So be totally sincere in your intentions. And the intentions have to be broad rather than narrow, not just finishing the syllabus or teaching the instructions in such a way that the student can do a good sort of give instructions properly. Because more than the instructions is what is behind the instructions, what is the spirit behind the instructions. So focus, as Aditi would say, more on the spirit than on the form. So that is what is most important. And the intention is not to impress the students, but that the students should learn something useful, something that is of lasting value, because what is there in the syllabus is available everywhere anyway. So they should learn something more than what is there in the syllabus. That is what is important when we have an opportunity to be in that relationship of a teacher and student. And that is again only a formal relationship. Otherwise, in fact, the students also learn a lot from the teacher. It's not that it's a one-way traffic. The teacher is also learning a lot while teaching. So with that, thank you, Suman, again. We hope to have you soon again. And now hand over to Aditi for closing the session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Sumandi for, especially for today's class. It was very, very informative, and it will stay with us, the little things which make a lot of difference. So a lot of gratitude to you and everybody. Thank you everyone. We close with a moment of silence.